Hey everybody, welcome back to the internet. Normally I'd say something like, it's the weekend, it's time to relax, but I haven't really been doing anything all week, so it's hard to get any more relaxed. But at least we have some stories to read. Call the police on me, enjoy the insurance money. For some context, I've got my driver's license almost 3 years ago when I was already 31. I'm a really careful driver, but I also try to keep up with the traffic. I'm over the period when a short drive gives me anxiety, but I still refuse to take the highway for a long trip without my husband sitting in the passenger seat. I drive every day, and most of the time I have my kids with me, so I'm in no way a hazardous driver. Well, stuff happens, and a few weeks ago I hit a cyclist. I was taking a left turn from a busy road to a small street. I had to stop because of the traffic, so I was going maybe 5 kilometers an hour tops. The man was coming from the right on the bicycle lane, so I either didn't see him because the thing between the windshield and the side window was in the way, or he was coming so fast that I couldn't see him. Doesn't matter, it was my fault. I should have checked twice. He didn't fall, only his bicycle did. I jumped out of the car shaking and asked him if he was hurt. He was visibly fuming. Absolutely understandable. He said he was okay. I asked him if his bike was okay too. He said it was brand new condition and it costed him $500. I already saw where this was going, but I asked him as calmly as I could that what went wrong with it and how much did it cost. I had $150 with me and I was willing to give him all. I didn't see any damages on the bike though, and I'm no expert and also didn't see the bike before, so I thought that there might have been rather big damage. He said it's either $500 or he's calling the police. I asked him again what was the damage and how much it would cost. He said again that I could either pay him the full cost or he's calling the police. As petty as it is, but at this point I was ready to go to jail and let my insurance company deal with him, rather than giving him a dime. So I told him to go ahead and call the police. The police officer asked if I agreed that it was my fault. I said sure, and he gave me a ticket of $100 and told me that my record will stay clear if I pay the ticket on time. He was very polite and chill. I don't know about other countries, but car insurance is mandatory here. They pay whatever damage you cause, and the next year your insurance cost increases. In this case, the increase will be like $10. I wrote an email to my insurance company about the incident. The cyclist had to call them too. I sent them pictures I took of the bike still on the road in front of my car. Today I wrote them an email and asked them to write me how much money did they pay to the cyclist. It was $30. Well, he gambled and he lost. Should have just taken the friendly bribe. How to handle entitled parents. Having read the stories here, I conclude that a lot of the time, the entitled parents get to create havoc because people are too nice. At a mall near my place, not too long ago, they had a display of a couple of supercars. One day, a couple of kids went under the tape and started clamoring on the car. A mall employee came, saw them, and said to the woman who was obviously their mother, "Ma'am, please get your kids off the car." She, of course, started saying some BS like, "Oh, it's okay, blah blah." The employee didn't say a word to her. She turned on her phone and started recording the woman and the kids. With the other hand, she pulled out her walkie-talkie and called the security to their location. Seeing that the employee totally didn't listen to her and had called the security, the woman quickly tried to gather her kids to run off, but she wasn't fast enough. They were brought to the security office. Don't know what happened after that. It was efficient, effective, and minimal fuss. Maybe a little cold, but the employee shut down the Karen in a flash with minimal damage. Perhaps people should act like this employee more. Yeah, I mean, cameras can pretty much be lifesavers in a lot of situations. Pretty much any time you catch somebody trying to do something illegal, you just pull out your phone and start recording. It even works when somebody's like trying to blackmail you or make up stories about you. And then once you have the recording, they're powerless. Well, I know this might be sudden, but we're already moving on to the question of the day, which is, what is the dumbest idea you've ever had that actually worked? In university, I was late on an assignment that was supposed to be in my TA's Dropbox by noon that day. I didn't manage to get there until almost 3, so I was sure he had already emptied it. Now, the drop boxes were literally boxes and cubbies with a slot in the front and a lock on them that prevented them from being pulled out. The rack holding them was just a basic metal frame that was about 5 rows of boxes. My TA's box was somewhere in the middle of the shelf. So I figured, I'm late anyways, why not take a chance? And slip my assignment into the box below my TA's box. I got my assignment handed back a few weeks later than everyone else, and it had a note from the other TA scribbled on it and said, "Looks like this fell into my box by mistake." I got full marks on the assignment. Hey, it's not such a dumb idea when it works. So real estate told me that I had to have carpets professionally cleaned or I'd lose my $800 bond. I did some research and found out that I could become an accredited carpet cleaner, as there are no official licensing boards in my state. So I did what any sane person would do. I paid the $85, did the online course and got my certificate, registered a business name, ABN, etc., all free. Handed the property management a copy of my accreditation and an invoice for services. I became a professional carpet cleaner and launched a vacate cleaning business that is still going 6 months later. I mean, that's an odd way to start a career, but I guess it worked out. In college, my buddy and I took an investing class, and for one of the projects, we had a month to invest fake dollars into the stock market, and see which team would have the most money after a month. It was spring semester, so we put all of our fake money into Heinz, thinking there would be a spike in ketchup and mustard sales as the weather got warmer. The next day, Berkshire Hathaway purchased the entire Heinz company, and the professor accused us of insider trading. We had no idea what we were doing. Well, hopefully you learn to use those powers for real next time. In college, I was taking a class that required me to purchase an online textbook and workbook that was registered under your name, basically ensuring that each student would have to buy a new online copy each semester instead of buying used textbooks. I had a friend who took this class a semester before me, so we came up with the idea to message customer service and explain that I had recently gotten married, so my last name had changed, and that I legally changed my first name from my friend's name to my name, and I would need them to change it in their system. It totally worked, and the rep even congratulated me on my marriage. Hey, anything that helps you get past all the college scams, good on you. So back in high school, I stopped by one of my teacher's rooms after class to ask him some questions about our homework. When I walked in, I noticed he was grading some of our tests. Of note, all of the tests were made up of multiple choice, true and false, or matching, and all of the answers were bubbled in. What I noticed was that instead of using an answer key to grade, he was just placing a stencil over the paper with the correct bubble punch-out. The stencil wasn't transparent, so all it showed was whether we bubbled in the right answer or not. Flash forward to our next test, and I'm stuck on a true or false question. Knowing how he graded, I'd figure I'd bubbled in both true and false, and if he caught it, it would be easy enough to claim that it was an accident. Well, he didn't catch it, and I used that trick for the rest of the year for a little extra boost on all of his tests. Man, I get that it can take a long time to grade a lot of tests, but like, how lazy can you get? That seems like a really strange way to give people grades. I stuck my neck out for an ex-con on house arrest at my job. He interviewed well, but his availability was horrible. Between the ankle bracelet and meeting with his PO, drug treatment program, etc., my GM said no, and I said, I'm doing it anyway. The first night he worked there, I found myself in a bind. He was the only person scheduled in the kitchen from 8 to 10 p.m., and I had no one who knew the kitchen besides myself because our store had a wicked virus traveling around. I told him, look dude, we're pretty effed back here, and I'm going to try and keep my cool, but I can't promise. And because I'm the only manager on duty, I might have to run the front and drive-through. Well, this guy mastered production in about an hour. He was faster than my GM on the grills and fryers, and his attitude was so good. I waited on nothing, and he even tried to help me make sandwiches and send them out. He also managed to clean up the entire kitchen. He eventually moved to maintenance and fixed all the crap the previous guy ignored in a day. Then he moved to service for more hours when the hour restrictions came off, and was great with the Karens. My GM got over the ankle bracelet, records, and tattoos, and actually hired him for his house flipping businesses. All because I said, we need freaking employees, and you can't be picky when he's the only guy I've interviewed in a month. Hey, you can't always judge a book by their cover. Some people might really surprise you. I used to know a guy who, every week, would order his Saturday night curry for delivery while sitting in the pub, and then walk over the road to the curry house and get it and himself delivered home. This went on for about 10 to 12 weeks. One week, we were sitting, having a pint, and the owner of the curry house walked in, took his order, and had him picked up from the pub. He said it was easier for everyone concerned. Well, I guess if they're going there anyway, you might as well hitch a ride. It's probably even cheaper than getting an Uber. So on the 4th of July, I was in Brooklyn, in the neighborhood not too far from my own. I was having a heck of a time catching a cab, when suddenly an ice cream truck pulled up. My apartment was right next to an ice cream truck depot. I knew any truck in the area was parking there, so I asked for a ride and what little Spanglish I knew. They obliged. Free ride home plus ice cream cone. Big win, awkward ride. Well, I wasn't really expecting 2 stories like that in a row, but sometimes that's how it works. And well, I had one more little story lined up, but it turned out to be exactly the same as these last 2, so I guess we'll just skip it and call it good for now. Man, earlier this week I mentioned how I was pretty much finished with everything that was taking up all my time, and now I gotta say, I've just been like really bored all week. I'm just like, I don't even know what to do with my time. It's been making me go a little bit crazy, but I'll figure something out, so thanks for watching.